All right, so we can't talk about this every week because I think that Chris Jericho is going to be on commentary for a while, so we're going to dedicate the intro to this week's AEW Dynamite to it. But I think, one, not only is this version of Chris Jericho the best version of Chris Jericho I've ever seen in my life, but two, he has now become an incredible color commentator of the likes of like Bobby Heenan. It's just ridiculous, I don't understand it. So you can take Y2J, and you can take the guy in the suit, and you can take the dude with the list, all of them, none of them, they are not as good as this version of Chris Jericho. Let's up those downs. What a cool opening to Dynamite. It was one of these overproduced videos that I start to enjoy more and more and more, and it was Cody sat in a chair with the American Nightmare symbol on the back, basically pretending he was Batman, like he was looking at all of his competitors in the TNT tournament and just making comments about all of them, and also saying, hey man, if I don't come out on top of this thing, if I don't win the TNT title, what does that say about me? What does it say about my legacy? If I got future endeavored at that other place, but I can't get those endeavors, then I'm nothing but a failure. And of course he made these insider references so that the internet will melt down and go crazy, but I just thought it made him come across like a dude who really wants this title, and as soon as you do that, can you believe that my brain goes, huh, that championship must be important, I shall then invest. Again, these overly produced is not what I mean, but these produced videos are fantastic, and I'm so happy that all of wrestling has kind of grabbed a hold because WWE is doing it too. Let's just keep doing it. I just like Cody as a babyface too. I think he is the best babyface in all of the West, and as it turned out, he has recently reapplied for the trademark for Cody Rhodes, so maybe he's getting his last name back. That's nice, it's never good if you lose your last name. If I lost my last name, I'd just be Simon. Ugh, what a stupid name. We also then had video packages for Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin and the TNT title championship thingamabob. And then we had the match between Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin in the TNT Championship Thingamabob tournament. What a concept. And as ever too, I think both of these guys had a conversation beforehand where they said, shall we go out there and just try to kill each other? Well, no, that's not even true. The conversation must have been, look, I'm going to try and kill myself, and maybe you should try and kill yourself. These two are mad, they're getting it up. The argument, of course, will be, was it as good as their match at Revolution? But that is such a dumb debate to have. It's like, if you have ice cream on one Saturday, and I give you more ice cream on late Saturday, do you sit there eating the ice cream going, well, I guess it's fine, but I preferred the ice cream from last Saturday? No, you're just happy you've got more ice cream, and this was like me swimming through an ice cream wonderland. We didn't even wait around here, because Sammy Guevara had attacked Darby Allin during his entrance, and I think even before the bell, ding, 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 he got a ladder from under the ring. He set it up between like the apron and the guardrail. He climbed up to the top rope and he splashed him through it. And that ladder did not look gimmicked at all. It looked like it hurt like hell. It was all mostly Guevara as well. I mean, at one point, Darby Allin did rip off his boot and just start going nuts on his ankle. But then at the same time, Sammy was on the outside. Darby ran at him, did a suicide dive, and just careered into the steel guardrail. I mean, this poor guardrail was having the time of it. And Darby Allin's head, how does that not hurt? Don't do this, but imagine you took your head and just went ding into a steel guardrail, you wouldn't feel too spruce. Throughout all of this carnage, somehow clearly Darby had a plan, because when Sammy was going for his burning hammer, throw over the top thingamajig, Darby went, no you don't. He reversed it into the Last Supper, which is basically a form of the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, and he surprised Guevara, and he got the 1, 2, 3, and he is going through to the next round. Can you believe it? I'm going to pretend that Allin got that from watching this show. He clearly didn't, but I'm a bald asshole, as we know. And all of this makes perfect sense, because now we're going to get Cody versus Darby, and they've already teased that, and there ain't nothing wrong with going wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you know what you're going to get, and then giving it to you. Also, a round of applause for these two guys. I mean, you're both crazy, but you are, well, you're damn entertaining. We zoom to the Hardy compound after this, which is good for me, because I love all the broken stuff, even though a few people don't seem to get it. And the cool thing about this is that it seems Broken Matt Hardy is about to enter a game of the classic known as Kung Fu, as he has to defeat every single layer of the inner circle in order to get to the boss, which is Chris Jericho, and he's going to start with Sammy Guevara, because he said here, look Sammy, you just had a match, why don't you have another match by coming here and I'll whoop your ass. Hardy then switched gears, which was really badass, because he figured out, Chris, maybe you're not responding to me because you are intimidated by my vessel. So he clicked his fingers, and then he was just normal Matt Hardy. and he cut a very impassioned promo saying, look, Jericho, we've been each other for years. Sometimes we've been friends, sometimes we've been enemies, but now you're trying to use AEW as your own platform, and I ain't gonna let it happen. So how can we complain now? If you like broken Matt Hardy, you've got it, and if you like normal Matt Hardy, you've got that too. It also ties into what his character is now, but also has evolved the persona, and that's what you've got to do. We've seen this version in Impact, and then we saw, I guess, like the new but old version in WWE, and now they've come together. That's just good, that's just smart, that's just getting it up. It was then Kenny Omega versus Allin Angels, and let's just keep this nice and short and nice and direct. Kenny Omega obviously won here after a couple of V-triggers, but I could not believe how competitive that Mr. Angels was. Like, I don't know if I was meant to know who this guy is, and I don't know if AEW has big plans for him, or if Kenny Omega is just the most selfless and nice wrestler ever, but yeah, it really surprised me. But a small part of my gut is a bit like, shouldn't Kenny Omega be running through guys like this? I mean, the counterpoint to that is when you watch real sports, the fun comes from the fact that any team can beat any other team, so you sit there on tenterhooks going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I don't know. Kenny Omega just seems to never get an easy win. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. I still enjoyed it. It's getting an up, but I think there is a debate here. Please do it in the comments and try and be nice. Don't go, yeah, feh, feh, feh. Also, let's face it too, when you go back through wrestling history, most guys that get to his position go in the complete opposite direction. So really we should give him a little nod and say, fair play to you, Mr. Omega. You are giving back to the business. Another video package aired after this, and it was just as awesome as all the others, and now we were focusing on Scorpio Sky, who did tell us back in 2008 and 2009, he just woke up one day and I was like, uh-oh, my back is screwed, and maybe I'm going to have to give up my wrestling dream. But then, as if by magic, this pain disappeared. He realized he could get back to wrestling and decided he was going to live his dreams, which he did in 2017 when he joined SCU. And from there, it's just been up and up and up. And just like that, boom, I have rewarmed to Scorpio Sky. You see how easy it is? You see, you don't have to overthink it. We haven't seen him on television in a while, and now I look forward to his return. He's also a very talented cat. It was then Jimmy Havoc versus Orange Cassidy, which is actually quite a big deal when you take a step back and think about it, because you don't really see Jimmy Havoc all that much, so he wanted to prove a point, and it was Orange Cassidy's first ever proper match on AEW Dynamite. Havoc clearly realized this too, because he absolutely tried to kill Orange here, including at one point, he just bit him. I guess, why not? If you've got some teeth and the referee is going to let you bite him, you may as well bite. It's a good brawl, gets it up. However, I do have to say, I think it went a little bit long. I know, boo, Simon, boo, you're a giant dickhead. I am. You're 100% correct. But I think what we have learned from empty arena matches is that they have a very specific shelf life. I mean, the main event last week, and Edge versus Randy Orton, the conversation continues to go on and on and on. And if we had just cut this a little bit shorter, just feel like it would have been more fun than it was. That's it. That's when I thought I was watching it, and that's why pow, down the power. It also descended into absolute madness at the end. Penelope Ford decided she was going to get involved, and Trent was like, no, you're not. This has nothing to do with us. And then Kip Sabian just appeared from nowhere and jumped onto the best friends. And clearly this caused the biggest distraction of all time, because it was enough to surprise Havoc, and he got hit with like a roll-up crucifix thing. Basically is the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. Don't shoot the messenger. And I think this kind of made sense. Jimmy Havoc can lose, Orange Cassidy needed to win, and look, straight afterward, Jimmy Havoc was back beating the hell out of him until the best friends made the save, and it got announced later on, I think next week or the week after, or at some point soon, we're having a no DQ street match thing between the best friends, and they're taking on Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc, who, by the way, are both British, so woohoo them. And then it was MJF. Flipping MJF. If you have been paying attention to his social media recently, he had been hinting massively that he had some kind of horrific injury and that he may need to take a step away from wrestling. He even gave up social media for a while to make this work, and deep down you're like, do I believe this? But I know that I bit, and I know that other people bit. Even now they're saying, I didn't bite at all. I know he was trying to trick me. No, you didn't. Because here he was stood outside of a house and he let us know that yes, he had gone through some terrible times because he had a hangnail, and it was so bad he even had his arm in a cast. So MJF is just such an old school heel, he's such an asshole, and I for one am very happy that he was able to work us. That's what wrestling is. Sometimes people get so mad like, oh, I can't believe he did that. It's the whole point. That's why we watch. And then the alternative is people go, well now, I'm never going to believe him again. You're not meant to believe him again. He's a massive twonk, but he's also getting it up. More of this, I enjoy it. Maxwell also vowed to return to AEW and win the World Championship, and I just appreciate this man's dedication to the cause. We could all learn a little something from MJF if you're trying to become a wrestler. Wardlow then ruined Lee Johnson. I mean, this was exactly what it needed to be, as Wardlow proved that he had read the book that's called 750 Suplexes You Can Do in Your Next Squash Match. He also finished it off with the F10, which is a very impressive move. And of course, I think this is the first time we'd seen Wardlow since he lost in that cage match against Cody. And now we have reminded ourselves, oh yeah, he's a big man, and if you let him, he will run through you like a pack of wildebeests. Brody Lee was also back next, and yes, I get it. Oh, I don't like all the WWE insider references. But here's the problem. Did I laugh? Yes, I did. Did it put a massive smile on my face? Yes, it did. I think they're really, really fun. He was basically in full Dark Order recruitment mode here after a guy who had failed at college football and been broken up with by his girlfriend had gone onto the Dark Order website and applied, and that had gone very well for him because here he was having a meeting with one Mr. Brody Lee. And the Exalted One only had a few questions he needed to ask before he knew whether he should let him in or not. One was, how tall were you? And luckily the guy was 6'2". The next was, how much do you weigh? And luckily he weighed 240 pounds. And the third was, have you ever played college football? Which he had. Everything was good. He got welcome into the group. And yes, of course, it is another jibe at WWE, because for a while, that's all they looked for when they were trying to recruit new people. Like, were you 6'2", did you weigh 240 pounds, and were you an ex-college football player? And I get it. It's more insider references, but I got a massive tickle out of this. It was like Mr. Tickle was here with his long arms. So I'm a fan of this for better or worse, and it transitioned into a match for Brody Lee, and he just squashed some guy called Justin Law, and that man didn't stand a chance. Threw him around for a while before hitting that big discus lariat for the win. And it did kind of make me think again, Wardlow got a squash and Brody Lee got a squash, but Kenny Omega had a competitive match. Just throwing it out there, just something that entered my brain. Stupidly, Marco Stunt also taunted Brody Lee, and I was like, what are you doing, Marco? You've only just returned from space after Lance Archer launched you into orbit, and now apparently you want to go back, but this time it's going to be Brody Lee chucking you up there. I know it's cheaper than Virgin Galactic, but you, my friend, are crazy. And amazingly, we are getting that match next week. It could be the end of Marco Stunt. It was another episode of the Bubbly Bunch that followed this, and I will say it was much better than last week's, because simply it was more goofy, and as we know, I like goof up. It was just all of them being idiots until Chris Jericho said, I know how we can lift our spirits. We can have a flim-flam dance, and the winner gets this bottle of hand sanitizer. And if you need to know, if you missed the joke, a flim-flam dance was just taking the mick out of TikTok, and everybody in the inner circle just threw themselves into this with so much gusto, I couldn't help but laugh my ass off. Not literally, that would hurt. It ended with Sammy Guevara winning, even though he didn't want to enter the contest at first, and this just tied into their characters so well. Sammy was over the moon that he won the hand sanitizer, and Chris Jericho couldn't handle the fact that he lost. And when the inner circle break up, which they will do eventually, I hope they have a little look back to this. It was so stupid, it was so dumb, but it made me happy. We also got a hype video for our main event, which was Dustin Rhodes versus Kip Sabian, to see who was going to go through in the TNT Championship tournament, and AEW treated this like it was WrestleMania. Before we heard the bell, I was like, oh my gosh, Dustin Rhodes may be about to retire here, or maybe Kip Sabian is about to start his climb to the top. It was very well done. As was the match itself, and going back to everything I said about Jimmy Havoc and Orange Cassidy earlier, what I personally would have done, and what do I know, I'm an absolute idiot, but I would have cut a few minutes off that and added a few minutes here, because just as it was get going, it kind of ended. It truly was very good. Giving it up. Dustin was in control at first by using his experience until, of course, Penelope Ford grabbed his foot, and that allowed Kip Sabian to get one up. And he focused on Dustin Rhodes' leg, and Dustin sold that like he was going to have it amputated in a few weeks. It really was the old meeting the new, and I say this too, the former Goldust to this day remains underrated. They also both tried to hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, but thankfully nobody was able to do it, because that would have been too much on this episode of AEW Dynamite. And when you saw Penelope Ford kind of brawling with Brandi Rhodes outside of the ring, you just knew some shenanigans were coming. And that was true too when Ford got in the ring and Brandi pounced and gave her a spear, and throughout all of this, Kip Sabian was distracting the referee so we can all come down and go, oh, she didn't see it. It did, of course, lead to the finish though, I guess because Kip Sabian couldn't believe that his girlfriend was engaged in such a war. Dustin Rhodes hit a Code Red, which is a Canadian destroyer. And can you believe it? Can you believe it? A Canadian destroyer, which is usually a transitional move, actually won the match. Dustin Rhodes doesn't have to retire. Dustin Rhodes' hand is raised, and now he will fight Lance Archer in the semi-finals. Oh my gosh, he may die. It also means this tournament has all the intrigue that it needs, because if Lance Archer does try and kill Dustin Rhodes and wins, and then Cody Rhodes beats Darby Allin, and you have Lance versus Cody in the final, look at the narrative here. See, isn't it nice? Isn't it simple? Doesn't it make you happy to be a long-term viewer? And that was the end of this week's AEW Dynamite, and again, it lacked a certain amount of je ne sais quoi, simply because we don't have a crowd, but I can't say that every single week, but it was more than fine for the couple of hours it was on. So there's my big spinny arrow, it gets it up. Now the comments go, Simon, you're so biased towards AEW. No, I just like good wrestling. If you can't handle it, you can come and you can kiss me on the head. That's just a nice thing to do, and we should always be nice. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling. The button is right there. Then head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, and you can watch more videos here with like a telescope on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you as always for joining me, and if you are interested, I will see you Saturday when we up those downs for SmackDown.